Quito, Ecuador, September 3rd, 2025. The diplomatic spotlight shifted to Ecuador this week as US Secretary of State Marco Rubio touched down in Quito for a high-stakes visit focused on security. His arrival marked not just another foreign policy stop, but a moment of urgency for a nation struggling to contain surging cartel violence. Ecuador, once known for its relative peace, has in recent years become a pivotal crossroads in the global cocaine trade. Positioned between Colombia and Peru, two of the world's largest cocaine producers, the country has become a hub for shipments headed to Europe, the United States and Asia. With this geographic reality, powerful international gangs have taken root, fueling violence, corruption and instability that now demand an international response. As Rubio stepped off his plane, cameras captured a symbolic moment: the handshake with Juan Ventimiglia, protocol officer at the Ecuadorian Foreign Ministry, and Gabriela Sommerfeld, Ecuador's foreign minister. Smiles were exchanged, but the weight of the meeting was unmistakable. Behind the ceremonial greetings lay a shared recognition that Ecuador's crisis is no longer a local issue. It is regional, even global. Officials in Quito have already made clear what they expect from this visit. They say they are preparing to sign what they describe as fundamental security agreements with Washington to confront escalating cartel violence. That word, fundamental, underscores the seriousness of the negotiations. These agreements are not symbolic gestures, but binding commitments aimed at reshaping Ecuador's law enforcement, intelligence cooperation, and cross-border security efforts. Foreign Minister Gabriela Sommerfeld emphasized Ecuador's urgency. She noted that the agreements represent a turning point in Quito's security posture, one that aligns the country more directly with US efforts in the hemisphere. For Ecuador, the stakes are existential. Fundamental means survival. For Rubio, this mission fits into a broader US agenda of countering the spread of organized crime networks across Latin America. In recent months, Washington has taken a harder line against transnational cartels, treating them not only as criminal enterprises, but increasingly as threats with quasi-terrorist reach. Ecuador has emerged as the latest frontline in this campaign. The visual choreography of the visit reinforced its gravity. Rubio's motorcade rolled across the tarmac, a reminder of the high-level security surrounding the delegation. The scenes, tracking shots of his arrival, wide angles of official entourages, and the final departure from the airport, projected the blend of diplomacy and urgency that defines US engagement in crisis zones. In Quito, anticipation is running high. Analysts and observers point to the agreements as a potential blueprint for how Washington may engage with other Latin American nations facing similar cartel-driven crises. What distinguishes Ecuador's case is the rapidity of its descent into violence. Within just a few years, the nation has seen prison massacres, gang-linked assassinations, and brazen attacks that once seemed unimaginable. Rubio, aware of this context, has signaled that the US sees Ecuador as a partner rather than a passive recipient of aid. The agreements are expected to include measures such as intelligence sharing, enhanced border inspections, and joint operations to intercept drug flows before they leave South America. There is also discussion of training Ecuadorian security forces and providing advanced technology to detect and dismantle smuggling routes. While the precise details remain under wraps until formally signed, the overarching message is clear: Ecuador cannot fight this battle alone. The US, recognizing its own role as a primary destination for narcotics, is prepared to take a more direct hand. Still, challenges loom. Ecuador's institutions are fragile, and corruption has penetrated sectors of law enforcement and politics. International agreements, no matter how ambitious, risk faltering without strong implementation on the ground. Critics warn that aligning too closely with Washington could provoke backlash, either from domestic opposition or from cartels themselves, who may escalate violence in response. Yet amid these uncertainties, the symbolism of Rubio's presence resonates. In a country that has long prided itself on neutrality and relative calm, the sight of the US Secretary of State greeted by top officials signals a turning of the page. Ecuador is no longer a peripheral player in the hemisphere's drug war. It is a central battleground. As the motorcade departed the airport, carrying Rubio toward the heart of Quito, the message was unambiguous. The time for rhetorical commitments has passed. What Ecuador and the United States now seek are fundamental actions, agreements that move beyond words into tangible steps against a threat that respects no borders. For Ecuador, this visit may well mark the beginning of a long, arduous partnership. For the United States, it is another reminder that the fight against cartels is not confined to its own streets, but must be waged wherever the networks thrive.